Functions review questions 26 through 30. So this is the review part of the review. In other words, these are the 5 questions that are from previous tests. You know how on every test there's a section where I give you questions from previous tests. So this is the review section. So I'm going to go through it fairly quickly. Let's start with 26. The original problem was n cubed equals negative 4.096. So I want to isolate the variable. I want to solve for n. To do so, I use the inverse operation. And the inverse operation of cubing something would be to take the cube root of both sides. So I take the cube root of both sides. That allows me to cancel that out. And I get n equals negative 1.6. The cube root is n equals negative 1.6. The opposite of squaring something is the square root. The opposite of cubing something is the cube root. 27. Solve using substitution. So substitution is when you solve for the easiest variable first. The easiest variable to solve for is this bottom x. So that's what I did. I solved for that bottom x by adding 3y to both sides. Because these are not like terms, I just bring them down as 3y plus 15. So now that I solve for the bottom x, I take what I get and I substitute it in for the top x. And that's what I did over here. So I substituted it in and I got 3 times 3y plus 15 plus 18y equals negative 36. So in other words, I have this equation is exactly the same except I replaced that x with the 3y plus 15. First thing I do after substitution is the distributive property. When I do the distributive property, I get 9y plus 45 plus 18y equals negative 36. The reason why there's the boxes there, because after the distributive property, you combine like terms. When you combine like terms, you get 27y plus 45 equals negative 36. To isolate the variable, this is now a 2-step equation. I got to get rid of my constant term. Since it was positive 45, the opposite of positive 45 is negative 45, so I subtracted 45 from both sides to get 27 equals negative 81. Divide both sides by negative 27 to isolate the variable, and you get y equals negative 3. Now I'm going to take that negative 3, and I'm going to plug it in to this equation over here. Take the negative 3 and plug it into that first equation you solved for. So put a negative 3 here. And then I would put that all in your calculator at once. 3 times negative 3 plus 15 is 6. So my final answer to number 27 is x equals 6, y equals negative 3. X equals 6, y equals negative 3. So that is substitution. Solve for the easiest variable, substitute it in, solve the equation, and then substitute that value in to get your other variable. 28. Well, 28 is no different than what I did in this middle section up in 27. It is a multi-step equation. The first step is the distributive property. After I do the distributive property, I combine like terms. After I combine like terms, I get my variables to one side, my constants to the other side. And then the last step would be to divide. So distributive property is how I got the 6x minus 8x equals, 6x minus 8x minus 4 equals 16. So this was what I got after the distributive property. Then I combine like terms. That's what the box there's for. Combining like terms, I got negative 2x minus 4 equals 16, which is now a 2-step equation. Get my constant term to the other side. It's a negative 4, so the inverse operation would be to add 4. By adding 4 to both sides, I got negative 2x equals 20. Divide both sides by negative 2 to isolate the variable, and you get x equals negative 10. Number 29. Solve using elimination. So that means I need to manipulate one of these equations so I have opposites and so I can eliminate a variable. So this is where you have to start by asking yourself, do you already have opposites? No, I don't have opposite terms, like I don't have a positive 3x and a negative 3x. So then you look for identical terms, 2 3x's or 2 y's or something like that, where if you multiplied by negative 1, you would then have opposites. Well, I don't have that. So do I have multiples? Yes. 3 and 6, 6 is a multiple of 3, and 6 is a multiple of 2. So we could pick either one. I am going to use this one. And the reason why I'm going to use these two is for 2 reasons. First, the signs are already opposites. And second, I'd rather multiply that bottom equation than the top equation. I'd rather multiply a 4 than the 30. Not that either one would be difficult. So in order to figure out what I need to multiply this bottom equation, because it's got the smaller term, I need to take what I need. Well, if I have a negative 6 up here, what I need is a positive 6. I have a negative 6, I need a positive 6. But what I have on the bottom is positive 2. So if I take those and I divide that out, I get 3. So that means I need to multiply my bottom equation by 3. The top equation will stay the same. So I'll have 3x minus 6y equals negative 30. Multiply everything by 3. 3 times 6 is 18x. 3 times 2y is plus 6y. 3 times negative 4 is negative 12. If you do it correctly, you should have opposites, and I do. The negative 6y and the positive 6y cancel. So now I combine. So since this is a positive 18, I'm going to put plus sign there. 3x plus 18x is 21x. Negative 30 minus 12, the signs are the same, so I'm going to add and keep the sign. That would be negative 42. Isolate the variable by dividing both sides by 21. And you get x equals negative 2. So now I'm going to take that negative 2, and I already picked an equation. I picked the bottom one. I'm going to substitute that negative 2 in for the x. Multiply. So I got negative 12 plus 2y equals negative 4. And now it is a two-step equation. I've got my y on the left side, so I'm going to take my constant. The opposite of negative 12 is positive 12. Cancels. So I have 2y equals 8. Divide both sides by 2. And you get y equals 4. So my answer to question 29 is x equals negative 2, y equals 4. Last question, question 30. Write in scientific notation. Remember, scientific notation has one number in front of the decimal, one number. So I go and I find I start on the left, I find my first non-zero number. My first non-zero number is 3. So I'm going to put the decimal after the 3. So I'm going to have 3.006 times x. See how there's only one number in front of the decimal? And then I count from where the decimal was to where it goes. There are 4 numbers there. And because this starts with a 0, my exponent will be negative. So my answer to number 30 is 3.006 times 10 to the negative 4th. We're also going to do this additional problem, so pause your video and get it written down. Okay, so this problem, my first non-zero number is this 1, so the decimal will go after the 1, 1.0234 times 10. Remember, it's the first non-zero number to the last non-zero number. First non-zero to the last non-zero. And now I count from where the decimal was to where it's going. And there are 7 numbers there. Because it is a large number, it is greater than 1, my exponent is positive. So it is 1.0234 times 10 to the 7th. All right, so that is all for your functions review. If you have any questions, let me know.